Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. This phrase, made popular by Carl Sagan, is at the heart of skeptical thinking. The problem here is that Carl Sagan didn't give a proper definition of what is an extraordinary claim. Indeed, it is an ambiguous term and can be misused in varieties of ways. Before any researcher can conduct an experiment, he must first properly define the main terms. We call that variables. And not any definition will do. We need something that is measurable. For example, intelligence is the ability to solve problems in a short time. This definition is not enough to be measured, so instead, we say that intelligence is the total result of the Weisser Adult Intelligence Scale, which is the most widely used IQ test. This is called an operational definition. It's when you give measurable way to define your main terms. So let's go back to the extraordinary claims. And you can see how it is hard to operationally define it. Of course, we can all agree that it's easy to find out if something is extraordinary or not by seeing how frequently it happens or how strange it looks. But science needs to be precise. This is also why it remains a topic of debate. So for the sake of this video, I'm going to define extraordinary claims subjectively. My friend Bobby comes to me and says he has a cat at home. Do you believe that? Well, his claim he has a cat at home is common, so no real need to doubt it. But if he comes and says I have a tiger at home, then the deal here is different. I won't believe him and would probably ask for evidence. Why at the first scenario did my skeptical senses not get triggered while in the second one they did? He could have lied about having a cat at home and told the truth about having a tiger, and this is all because of my previous experiences and knowledge, which tells me that a cat at home is common and a tiger at home is quite rare. We seem to have a filter that chooses what comes in and what stays out. Almost every person seems to go by this process. We accept what looks plausible and reject what looks absurd. But at the same time, we often have a VIP card ready for some topics, giving direct access to our mind things we personally pick without investigation. This could be a political opinion, aliens, mentalism, telepathy, a dark conspiracy, and many others. This is why we should build our filter from good basis, to avoid all misleading information and to quickly spot and notify us when something is getting access to our brain without proof. This takes us to another point, that not all evidence is equal. I'm going to put this into another fun example to illustrate what I mean. Someone says he has telepathic abilities and can read my mind. First step is to determine whether or not this is an extraordinary claim or an ordinary one. But here, obviously the claim is extraordinary, so step 2 would be to ask him for evidence. And of course, to show me his abilities. He presents a shuffled deck of cards that has only black and white. He asks me to pick a card and he will guess it. The first answer is positive. Nothing special. He had a 50% chance to get it right after all, but if he keeps on getting positive answers each time I pick a card, I would be surprised. But I would still need to conduct a more controlled experiment. He will have 100 tries, and if he gets 50 positive answers, we know this is a random result. So we will need to fix a threshold to determine when the result is significant. In other words, when the result is extraordinary. The common threshold within most scientific fields is 5%, so this is equal to 59 positive answers. If he gets 59 positive answers, I will have enough reasons to say that his performance is not random, but an extraordinary one. You may think with this performance he proved he has telepathic abilities, but actually, not yet. What we did here is the null hypothesis that says his results are random, and with his performance we rejected this hypothesis because the results were extraordinary. An important point here is that although this tells us nothing about the origin of his performance, it does say that there is something cool and rare happening. How is it happening? Is another question. This is a common mistake that many people fall into. We think that if someone shows us something extraordinary and we don't have an explanation to it, we have to accept this version without any evidence. Fact is, it could be something else. Maybe he has a partner texting him answers, or maybe he marked the cards, or it could even be a ghost or a spirit. Who knows? Since he gave no evidence about his explanation, there is no reason to take it as truth. To check his explanation, he needs to provide us with a measurable definition of his abilities. Then we can conduct a more strictly controlled experiment. This process is slow, but so much fun because the result of it gives us solid, valuable pieces of information that we can be proud of and confident in. It was the result of critical thinking, the scientific method, and an experimental protocol. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video to see more cool content like this in the future.